Leafs Nation, welcome back. Here is a season preview for the 2021-22 NHL season for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And the theme of this season is the exact same theme that it's been for several years now. Dude, did you see this before it was deleted? Did you see it? News organizations can't even keep up with who the Leafs most recently choked against. That was 3 playoff losses ago. That was pre-COVID. Then the Leafs lost 3 out of 5 to Columbus in August, which is a wild time capsule of a sentence. And of course, last year against the Montreal Canadiens, it was 3-1, not in a game, but in a series. And I'm telling you this, we got to get over that. Like, we have to. We do. Should we? I don't know. Probably not. That's maybe a conversation for another day, but are you going to watch the Toronto Maple Leafs this season? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Stop it. Yes, you are. All 82 games you are. So, I'm telling you, for your health and mine, because I see there's a screen next to the camera. So I'm looking, Steven, get over it, because you're doing this, all right? And here's the funny thing, healthy, anyway? The Leafs are still pretty good. And here's the funny thing, healthy, anyway? The Leafs are still pretty good. 3 pretty decent little pieces of news all up front for the Toronto Maple Leafs that we gotta talk about before we look at the roster. Number 1, first and foremost, the Leafs are being cautious with Austin Matthews. It looked like he might play the first game of the season. No, he's going to miss at least the first week, which means at least the first 3 games. Ilya Mikheyev, he's supposed to be getting this big opportunity, and he might even be playing in the top 6. Guess what? Thumb surgery. He's going to miss about 8 weeks by the sounds of it. And forward Adam Brooks is going to miss his time in Toronto because he was claimed off waivers by, who was it? Was it Montreal? That's great! The Leafs losing Adam Brooks seemed pretty much written in the stars. Some team was going to need him, and Montreal always seems to need a little bit of center depth. Adam Brooks is that. Like, I'm not even going to hate and be like, he doesn't matter. I'm always amazed when people are like, I don't see the problem with losing decent players for nothing on purpose. That's a brutal thing about the waiver wire. The Leafs draft Adam Brooks with a 4th round pick in 2016, and they keep an eye on him for half a decade, and they nurture him, and he plays in the minors, and he wins a Calder Cup with them, and he's at training camp all the time, and Jason Spetz is going, here's how you play hockey, and he's like, wow, I'm actually really benefiting from this, and he scores a bunch of goals, and you spend some time with him, you spend a lot of resources on him, and now he's on your rival in a day. You drafted and developed this player, and goodbye. And that's no big deal, according to people who don't like plastic Canadian money, because it doesn't burn as well as paper. Now, Ilya Mikheyev, it's funny how things work, because on the podcast I was talking about Pierre Engvall, and this guy has all the raw skills. He's so fast, he can shoot sometimes. He's a bit of a jerk, a bit more of an emerging jerk. He's heavy and he's 6'5". Everything about him should be great, and it's just not. And it looks like he might be the odd man out, and then Ilya Mikheyev loses his spot in the lineup temporarily because he's off getting surgery, and all of a sudden, Pierre Engvall, who had a good preseason, has renewed life with the Toronto Maple Leafs and has an opportunity to play a big role on this roster. A man who Leafs Twitter refers to as the Giraffe, but a guy who the Leafs themselves refer to as something different, and that'll be in a video that is posted on the Sportsnet YouTube channel soon. Did a little bit of capital J journalism for you there, folks. And Austin Matthews being out of the lineup, well, that one's pretty easy. It's bad! But having 2 number 1 centers is good, and so that they're fine. And the Leafs have a bizarrely good record with Austin Matthews out of the lineup. For 3 games, they should be able to survive. So Brooks is no longer an option, Mikheyev out of the lineup for a little while, and Matthews out for about a week. What do the Leafs look like on opening night? Jonas Siegel saw this at Leafs practice today. Nick Ritchie, John Tavares, Mitch Marner. That is your top line. Second line, Michael Bunting, Alexander Kerfoot, and William Nylander. Third line, Pierre Engvall in that Ilya Mikheyev slot, David Kampf, and Andre Kasha. Fourth line, Wayne Simmons, Michael Amadio, and Jason Spezza. The extras, Matthews, LOL, and Kirill Semyonov, who I imagine will get a chance over the first few games. So the first line I actually really like, and I think this is smart from Sheldon Keefe, because in a preseason game, the Leafs started with Ritchie on one side, Marner on the other, and David Kampf in the middle. That is very not why you got David Kampf. And the reason for doing that is obvious. You want to keep intact the Tavares, Nylander, and whoever is lucky enough to play with them model. But then, I believe by the second period, Sheldon Keefe went, oh wait, we have 2 number 1 centers, and put Tavares in Matthews' slot, and it looked great. Until Matthews is back, that's what they should do. Tavares has played with Marner before, it went pretty well. Bunting, Kerfoot, Nylander? What an annoying line. That's hilarious. I like it. I don't know how great it is. I don't like it long term, but as a placeholder, fine. And keeping in mind, I don't think Bunting was going to get that second line role with Ilya Mikheyev healthy. I think it was going to be Mikheyev, Tavares, Nylander, so this is huge for Bunting if he starts hot. Engvall, Kampf, Kasha, I thought could have started as Bunting, Kampf, Kasha. I think the best version of that is Mikheyev, Kampf, Kasha. It's really fast, really defensively responsible, and it can maybe cause some headaches, maybe even score a couple goals. Pierre Engvall is the whole package, and if he can learn from his 2 line mates here, David Kampf, who the Leafs adore, and Ondrej Kase, who had a really good preseason, what an amazing opportunity for Engvall. It should be his mission in life to not come out of the lineup for the next 2 months. And Simmons, Amadio, Spezza, yeah, I don't know. It sounds like a 4th line to me. I thought Semyonov actually played pretty well in the preseason, maybe well enough to get one of those 3 games where Matthews isn't in the lineup. Part of the reason the Leafs maybe felt they were able to risk losing Brooks on waivers, which they did. On defense, Riley Brody, that's the same, and it's good. Muzzin Hall, that's the same, and it's good. And then an interesting mix. Sandin on the left, Dermott, Liljegren on the right. So here's the thing. Sandin, left. Liljegren, right. Dermott can play both and may sit opening night. And I hinted at this on the podcast. Liljegren, I think, is really taking a step here. He's not like Erik Karlsson light, like he was ridiculously painted as when he was drafted. He's just doing a lot of little things. And we've only ever really seen him as like a 7th defenseman, which I think from watching Leafs games where they've done that, we've just learned that they should never do. I would love to see him in the opening night spot, especially because Dermott's been nursing a bit of an injury over the preseason. And it's funny that Dermott is actually the oldest of the 3. I don't think it helps any of those 3 guys to be sitting, but like we learned today, there's always injuries. I'm fascinated to see how this plays out. Sandin has the highest ceiling. He has to play, and he has to play well, which he didn't always in the preseason, but when he was given offensive opportunities, he was good. And Jack Campbell and Peter Mrazek is your tandem, because of course they are. They're 2 very good goalies. Jack Campbell probably your opening night starter. Here's the thing though. So I did a fantasy draft the other night, and someone didn't want to draft Freddie Anderson. Myrtle. It was Myrtle. He didn't want to draft Freddie Anderson, and then he did. Then I was talking about Carolina and what are they thinking having a tandem of Anderson and Ranta, who only played 36 games last season. And then I look at Campbell and Mrazek, and they only played 34. You concerned? When they're healthy and in the net, they are going to stop pucks. They have enough of a track record that I am confident enough in that. But Michael Hutchinson could realistically play games for the Leafs again this year. But actually, dude was pretty good last year. You might be asking yourself, how much cap room does that mean the Leafs have? And the answer is, I don't know, because do you understand the salary cap? I'm positive I don't. Because if you have an injured player, the more money you spend, like the closer you get to the cap, the more benefit you get from having an injured player. So spending money is the name of the game, which feels like not the spirit of the salary cap at all. Who wrote this? Oh, wait. One of the guys who works for the Leafs. Thank you, Brandon Pridham. You're a silly goose. One of my favorite and most underrated follows on Leafs Twitter, Earl Schwartz. Less than 3,000 followers. It is a crime. Go and follow him immediately. Had this to say. With the Mikheyev injury, here's what I expect the Leafs to do before placing him on LTIR. Assemble a 23-man roster that includes Mikheyev, Brooks, Liljegren, and Sandin. That would place them within $136,884. This guy's amazing. Of the cap when Mikheyev is placed on LTIR the last day of training camp. by waiving Adam Brooks, the Leafs can replace him on this roster with Alex Steeves, who you might remember is a college free agent who they signed and had a good rookie tournament before getting injured, which would bring the Leafs within $27,217 of the cap, plus $1.645 million. That's Mikheyev there. Then they can place Mikheyev on LTIR, assign Steeves to the minors, and have $834,667 in cap space with a 21-man roster. I've had punches to the face that were less confusing than the NHL salary cap, but it sounds like they're doing a great thing. And just as I was about to start editing the video, I saw that Kirill Semyonov was lent to the Toronto Marlies, so I don't know. Brandon Pridham, you're such a silly goose. I don't understand anything you do. So, who are we watching this year? What are the important things? Well, if you watch the Amazon documentary, All or Nothing, Toronto Maple Leafs, you know that the wins and losses don't matter to them very much. They want to see the process. The Leafs, a high offense team last year, struggled to score playoff-style goals. You know what I've seen this preseason? Playoff-style goals. Who's scoring them? Nick Ritchie. He scored some playoff-style goals. Michael Bunting. He scored some playoff-style goals. If tips in front of the net are playoff-style goals, John Tavares actually does score a lot of them. And let's talk about how good he has looked coming off of that scary injury from last year's playoffs. He looks fantastic, which is fabulous news. The defense was as strong as it's been in years last year. We'll see if it was because of a weak Canadian division or not as the Leafs take on, other teams this year. And the goaltending, I'm not overly concerned. Unless they get into ridiculous injury trouble, I don't see a reason to worry about this team. I said on the podcast in our 32 predictions videos, they're going to finish third in the division, I think. Third or maybe fourth behind the Bruins. I think they'll be third. I think they'll be a top 3 team. They'll get to the playoffs. It's literally just 4 wins! Let's turn the page here. Let's actually enjoy this season. Hey, they're going to pack the barn. Holy cow! Did any of you, leave a comment down below, did any of you go to any of the preseason games? Was it like the first time you heard the Beatles? Was it amazing? I'm excited to watch the Leafs in person this year. I'm excited to watch them on my TV with a bunch of other people watching them in person. That'll be fun. Wins and losses, nothing is guaranteed, but every game has its own fascinating individual story, and that is what I'm going to embrace this year until the spring, and then it's gonna be a lot of therapy, but until then, I plan on enjoying myself, and those are the sort of things I'm gonna be watching for. The process. Are you a playoff style team? Real quick, let's do some questions. What's the minimum level of success to call this season an improvement in the right direction? Well, hockey's just a sport. Like as long as you give it your best, you're kind to people, and you can leave the building every day with your head held high, then I think you're winning. My real answer is win around once ever! Is it on? Robert, it's on. And it's on Sportsnet. Want to make a trade? No, I've seen your team and it sucks, and whenever my team plays yours, I'm gonna kick your ass for $9.99 a month! Will you be doing a watch-along of Leaf games for each game this season alongside the normal broadcast? CJ mentioned this on the last podcast. Christopher! No, we're going to announce something this week, and you'll like it! When can we build the statue to Spezza on Legends Row? We could always build it now and add the cup later. Steve, do you ever sleep? Mark, does it look like it? And oh, do I like this one. Who is the player you'll be watching the most this season? The players we should be. Matthews and Marner. In particular, those are the stars. That's it. It's as simple as that. Now, this fan base should not be cruel to them. Marner shouldn't trend every time some player on Minnesota signs a contract or something. That's ridiculous. But that's the story. The Leafs' story is theirs this season. It is very much theirs. Was it not in the playoffs? Was it not in the regular season? The team goes as they do. That's who I'm going to be watching the closest. Tavares is a captain. He's got a lead and all that. Nylander is not excused from the star conversation, even though he does make less than superstar money. And Morgan Rielly, this may very well, I'm going to say it is likely his last kick at the can to win with the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that's the core. Those are the guys. Always have been. Can't wait to see what they do. A few things before we begin. This is my own Blue Room preview of the Toronto Maple Leafs, but sometimes with Adam and Jesse, they screw my head on a little tighter. We did a preview for the Leafs on the SDPN channel over on YouTube, and also the other 31 teams as well. That is right, over the past 4 days, we've been uploading 8 videos a day, each division. We have now uploaded all 32 teams, a 10-minute season prediction video each. Go check that out on the STPN YouTube channel. Oh, something that I keep forgetting to mention, the Discord. The SDPN Discord. We have something for everybody. I'm not kidding. This thing is packed. 7,000 people or something, and I hope you can add to that. Link down below in the description. Join us. Also, speaking of which, sdpn.ca, we got lots of stuff there, including merch. It's where I got this hat. You like my hat? Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Maybe you're gonna leave a comment like a bunch of other people. Hey Steve, why don't you curve the brim of the hat? I'll curve you! Hat picks are coming back. Sportsnet YouTube channel. Dang it! They're coming back. Sportsnet YouTube channel, and some other stuff too that I can't tell you about that CJ may have accidentally told you about. But he didn't tell you everything about, so I still hold some of the cards. We're going to have a very, very fun season. Packed arenas, 82 games, an Olympic year as well. It's going to be hard, but we got a pretty good crew. Dangle Navy, I am with you. Leave a comment down below. How they doing this year? We'll end with a little sneak preview, the intro for LFR this year. LFR15. Maybe this is the year. Let's go! Ladies and gentlemen, it's a little ridiculous. Good boy. Play all the hits. Left Toronto Maple Leafs. Let me finish. How am I supposed to go to bed after watching that? I'm quite hyped. With you wherever you are, welcome to LFR.